What's going on, everybody? This is Marcus, GM of Gods Among Legends, US Kel'Thuzad, and the host of both Sword and Board and Casually Hardcore, two World of Warcraft podcasts. Here I'm going to give you a quick guide to Garrosh Hellscream as a protection warrior. The first things first, I'm going to, at 2 seconds before I pull, I'm going to pop a Potion of the Mountains. It's going to give me extra armor. I'm going to pop Shield Wall and Demoralizing Shout and any other rage generating abilities. My key is to get my shield block up as quickly as possible. Shield block is key. Now I'm taking Garrosh during this first phase, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and shockwave the ads to help my other tank out, and I'm going to continually thunderclap and revenge and shield slam as quickly as possible. That's going to generate enough rage for me to keep my shield block up. Now as you can see, Garrosh hits for a ton if you don't have any type of active mitigation. Shield block will do it for you. If you're glyphed for unending rage, you will have enough rage to both pop 2 shield blocks up at the same time, keeping it up for quite some time. You also want to make sure you are using your devastates when you can, but with those ads out, if you can use Bloodbath and Thunderclap, you will be able to, for the most part, get those ads down without your DPS having to focus them down. One of the key things that I noticed about tanking Garrosh was generating rage, not wasting it. Shield block costs about 60 rage, it costs about half your rage, and rage can be difficult to generate because you only have 2 rage generating abilities, Revenge and Shield Slam. You're going to want to pop your Commanding Shout and Berserker Rage on cooldown if you can. Those are going to help keep your rage up, but you can also combo shield block with barrier. If your shield block is on cooldown, if you don't have an extra charge, but you have all this extra rage, you can go ahead and use shield barrier, but I wouldn't rely on it too much. At this point, the DPS is doing such a good job that we're getting Garrosh down so quickly that it's not really too big of a problem here, but also make sure that if you're ever going to use Demoralizing Shout, make sure you use it when those ads come out, because as a warrior you are going to pull threat off your off tank that's tanking the ads, just because warrior threat is in such a good place right now. At this point, Garrosh is starting to phase. Get those ads down, instruct your DPS to get those ads, pull Garrosh back. We only have a few seconds left before we enter the realm. Continue to use Shield Slam and Revenge to generate rage to activate your shield block. It's just, and only use Heroic Strike and Cleave when it procs for free. Now during this phase, the split phase as I like to call it, you need to get down there as quickly as possible and make sure you have enough rage to get mitigation up, because this ad has a decent amount of health, but he hits pretty hard as well, so get your mitigation up. This phase shouldn't kill your tank as long as your healer goes to the right, gets you up. Now this phase, during Garrosh's Annihilate phase, when he's trying to get empowered, this phase is key because you don't necessarily need to get that little damage reduction buff, but the only thing that's going to really save you is your shield barrier. So generate enough rage, keep popping Berserker Rage, Commanding Shout, Shield Slam, and get your shield barrier up as quickly as possible, hopefully with 40 or more rage. That's going to help save you as a tank. I've instructed my healers not to heal me during this phase or the other tank because of our mitigation, and you need to worry more so about what your DPS are doing. DPS and healers can die very quickly. Now once we drop down to this phase, I'm going to take Garrosh first just because I have a lot of Threat and Vengeance stacked up. I'm going to go ahead and pull him a little bit towards this way because our group decided not to burn the Desecrates in phase 2. Now these are going to be quick taunt swaps. They're only about 10 seconds, so once you get stacked up, you're going to want to keep shield block up, and once you are done with your stacks and your tank has taunted off you, help out with mind controls and start building up rage. You need to have at least 80 rage before you can get Garrosh back. Now during Whirling Corruption, this is another great place for you to use shield barrier. Make sure you have at least 60 rage. If you pop barrier with full health or even 80% health, it's not going to do much for you. So once again, I've instructed my healers not to heal me during Whirling Corruptions. At this point, once again, right now I'm building up rage. I've got 3 stacks. My stacks are about to fall. As soon as I taunt, I pop a shield block. Look, I taunt, I pop a shield block and a shield slam. Shield slam procs. Use that revenge. Keep building up rage. Because once your shield block is up, it should last the majority of your stack buildup, which is at about 3. Once your off tank gets them, you can go ahead and just start building up rage using your attacks. If you get too much rage, that's okay. When Whirling Corruption pops again, you can go ahead and pop a shield barrier with max rage. And if you start taking too much damage, you can pop another one. And that should help you out. And that way healers don't have to heal the tanks, they can just focus on the DPS. Now, part of this skills rotation that gets a little tweaky is the use of Bloodbath and Shockwave if you're spec for it. You're going to want to pop those on cooldown, but if you forget to use them, it's not too big of a deal. Those attacks aren't going to make too much of a difference. You need to focus on active mitigation. If you do not have a shield block up at all times during this fight when Garrosh is on you, you can only take 2 hits. 2 hits, you're done, because he hits like a truck. At this point, once again, we're doing okay. I'm getting my stacks built up. My shield block is up. And Whirling Corruption's coming up. Go ahead and use your barrier. I have the 2p set bonus, so it heals me for pretty much 30% of all damage I absorb with barrier. Another key thing to remember is cooldown management as a protection warrior. As you can see, even during this phase, we're close to halfway done with the fight. I haven't used any of my major cooldowns. You're going to want to save those for the empowered phase and also for any oh shit moments that you might have. Like, even though shield wall, I have it on a short cooldown. If you keep your shield block up, you're not going to need it. You can save it for the end of phase 2 or the beginning of phase 3 when Garrosh starts hitting. And then, as you can see here, once again during this annihilate phase, it doesn't even matter if you get the debuff or the buff or not that reduces damage. You can just go ahead, generate rage, and pop shield barrier, and that'll get you through that portion of the fight. It's very, very important during this fight that you instruct your healers not to waste all their mana and their cooldowns on the tanks. As a tank of any spec or class, you should be able to mitigate damage, and with some of the set bonuses, you should be able to get yourself back up unless you're at a really, really low health point if a healer dies or some type of unpredictable thing happens. But if you're not tanking Garrosh during phases 2 or 3, all you're going to do is generate rage. You're not going to waste any rage on Heroic Strike. You're going to use your Shield Slam, your Revenge, and get him up as much as possible. Pop your Berserker Rage and Commanding Shout to top yourself up, and just keep shield block up. I know I've probably said that about 10 times during this video, but if you don't keep shield block up, you're going to die. It's just, there's nothing you can do. Now, during this first empowered, I dropped my Demo Banner and Rallying Cry. This is going to save the raid for the first one, and you're also going to instruct one of your healers to use a cooldown. Now, because I'm not tanking Garrosh, I went ahead right here and picked up one of these ads, kited him away from the others, and helped DPS it down. If you can do that as an off tank, that is amazing, because those ads will hit hard, and they will kill your raid. There are certain parts of this fight where I do drop pretty low, and that's mostly a mistake on my part. I dropped too low and didn't get myself back up with a blocker barrier. But as you can see, I still go around. I still try and help out with mind controls when I'm not tanking Garrosh. You don't need to be hitting Garrosh that much. He's going to generate, if your DPS is good enough, if their numbers are within the upper 100s, 200s, you should be okay. Do not be afraid to pop a personal if necessary during the empowered whirling phases, but your healing cooldowns should be good enough. Spirit Links, Healing Tides, Diva Auras, Tranquility, those should be good enough. And always try and help out with the ads. See, look, I take 2 ads right here while my off tank is getting the ads, and see, when they get bigger, that's when you start to worry a little bit. But now we enter phase 3. We're going to go ahead and go to the other side of the room because there's no desecrates there, and we're not going to burn desecrates. You burn Garrosh down to about 8%, and he gets all of his health back, and that's when you use Bloodlust. And then once you use Bloodlust, that's when you burn some DPS cooldowns if you have them. Go ahead and take Garrosh first if you're a warrior, generate some Rage, and some Threat, and some Vengeance. And at this point, you're going to keep your active mitigation up, but you got to kind of kite him away from the desecrates as he starts throwing them down, because the DPS is placed right behind Garrosh, but they're going to collapse in for mind controls. So make sure you have a Disrupting Shout available to help out with mind controls. But at this point, you're just hoping and praying that you can get through this empowered whirling. I used my shield wall, I used my enraged regeneration, and keep your active mitigation up. You're going to see towards the end of this fight I make a mistake. And this is a mistake that could have wiped us, but it's not that big of a deal because Garrosh was just below 2%. At this point, Garrosh drops a Desecrate, an Empowered Desecrate, right on top of me. And I'm too busy trying to pop pots, trying to pop other things, and I kind of tunneled a little bit too much at this point. So he throws this Desecrate down. It goes right on top of me. I'm below 30% health. I'm barely able to keep myself up, and I die because I didn't move out. But as you can see, Garrosh was at such a low point that we were able to burn him down. So just judging by this video, towards the end of the fight, I make a drastic mistake. I've learned from that mistake, but you can kill this boss as a warrior very, very easily as long as you keep your mitigation up. So keep that shield block up, keep generating rage. You should never be rage free. Do not use Heroic Strike or Cleave unless you get a free proc of it. Other than that, that's pretty much it for this skills rotation on Garrosh Hellscream. If you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and send me an in-game mail or go ahead and comment below. Thanks for watching.